Have you ever felt like money runs from you no matter how hard you work? Like there's an invisible force pushing wealth away the moment you reach for it? I'm about to share something with you that changed everything for me, and it comes from one of the most ancient, most guarded secrets in Jewish mysticism. There is a name of God, hidden in the depths of Kabbalah for thousands of years, that when properly understood and frozen in your consciousness, reverses the flow completely. Money stops running, and instead, it begins to chase you. Not because you're working harder, not because you're affirming more, but because you've shifted the deepest frequency you're broadcasting to the universe. Stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will challenge everything you thought you knew about wealth, manifestation, and the true power of the divine names. I spent years in the self-development world, reading every book, attending every seminar, writing affirmations until my hand ached. I was doing everything right on paper. I meditated, I visualized, I kept my thoughts positive. But my bank account told a different story. Every time money came, it left just as quickly. Opportunities appeared and then vanished. I felt like I was swimming upstream in a river that refused to let me make progress. And the exhausting part wasn't the lack of results. It was the pretending. Pretending I was fine. Pretending I was abundant. Pretending the pressure wasn't suffocating me from the inside. Then I stumbled upon something during a late-night research session that stopped me cold. It was a passage from an ancient Kabbalistic text, written by a rabbi who lived in Safed over 400 years ago. He wrote about a specific name of God, one of the 72 sacred names derived from the book of Exodus, that was connected directly to sustenance, provision, and the flow of divine abundance. But here's what made me pause. He didn't say you should recite this name. He said you must freeze it in your consciousness, like planting a seed so deep in the soil of your mind that it grows invisibly, silently, until the harvest arrives without you even noticing the exact moment it began. That word, freeze, haunted me, because I realized I had been doing the opposite my entire life. I was chasing, pushing, forcing, affirming, visualizing, striving. All of that is movement. But freezing is stillness. It's the opposite of effort. It's a state of being so deeply rooted in certainty that you stop broadcasting the frequency of lack and begin radiating the frequency of divine supply. And the universe, the Kabbalists taught, doesn't respond to your words. It responds to frequency. Your frequency is not what you say, it's what you are. Let me tell you what happened next. I began working with this name, not mechanically, not as a magic spell, but as a meditation, a state of consciousness I would enter every morning before the noise of the day could drown it out. I would sit in silence, visualize the Hebrew letters of this name glowing in my mind, and feel, not hope, not wish, but feel, as if divine provision was already flowing through me, like a river that had always been there, just waiting for me to stop damming it up with fear and control. And I did this for 72 days. Not because someone told me to, but because 72 is the number of divine names, and I wanted to honor the completeness of the process. The first 2 weeks, nothing changed externally, but internally, I felt different. Lighter, less anxious. I stopped checking my bank account obsessively. I stopped panicking every time a bill arrived. It wasn't that I suddenly had more money. It was that I stopped living as if I was constantly on the edge of disaster. And that shift, that subtle shift in my internal state, changed everything. By week 3, unexpected things started happening. A client I hadn't heard from in months reached out with a new project. An old debt someone owed me was suddenly repaid, out of nowhere. A financial opportunity appeared that I hadn't been chasing, hadn't even thought about. And the strangest part was, none of it felt like a miracle. It all felt natural, like the universe was simply responding to a different version of me. Now, before we go deeper into the ritual itself and the specific name I'm talking about, I want to pause here for a moment. Because what I'm sharing with you today is just the surface. The Jewish people didn't build generational wealth by accident. They didn't thrive in every nation, every economy, every era of history by luck. They followed specific codes, tested strategies, and spiritual principles that most of the world never learned. And if you're serious about transforming your relationship with money at the deepest level, not just for a temporary boost, but for a complete rewiring of how wealth flows to you, I've compiled something powerful. It's called the 15 Jewish Wealth Codes, and it's a comprehensive ebook that breaks down the exact enrichment strategies the Jewish people have used for centuries. Not just mystical concepts, but practical, actionable steps you can implement immediately. You'll find the link in the first pinned comment below. Download it now, and keep it open as we go through today's teaching, because you'll see how everything connects. This isn't just information, it's a blueprint, and it's waiting for you right now. All right, let's go deeper. The name I'm referring to is connected to the Hebrew root for sustenance, what we call Parnassah in Jewish tradition. Parnassah isn't just money. It's the divine flow of everything you need to live fully, abundantly, without lack. Food, shelter, opportunity, resources, even the right people at the right time. It's the universe's way of saying you are provided for. But here's the paradox that most people miss. You cannot attract Parnassah by chasing it. You attract it by becoming the kind of energetic field where it feels welcome to arrive. Think of it like this. A flower doesn't chase bees. It simply blooms, and the bees come. The sun doesn't force planets to orbit. It radiates, and everything falls into harmony around it. You are designed to be that flower, that sun. But somewhere along the way, you started believing you had to run after what was always meant to come to you. The ancient Kabbalists understood something profound about the nature of reality. They taught that the universe is not a mechanical system you manipulate with the right words or actions. It's a living field of consciousness that responds to resonance. And resonance is created when your inner state matches the frequency of what you desire. If you want abundance but you feel lack, there's no resonance. If you want peace but you live in panic, there's no resonance. If you want love but you believe you're unworthy, there's no resonance. The name of God I'm about to share with you is not a magic word. It's a tuning fork. When you freeze it in your consciousness, you're tuning yourself to the frequency of divine provision. And once you're tuned, the universe has no choice but to respond. Now, let me be very clear about what freezing means, because this is where most people go wrong. Freezing doesn't mean repeating the name 1,000 times and hoping something happens. It means embedding it so deeply in your subconscious that it becomes part of your identity. It's the difference between knowing intellectually that you're abundant and living as if abundance is your natural state. When you freeze the name, you stop performing abundance and start being it. You stop trying to convince the universe you're worthy and start living as if worthiness was never a question. And that shift, from performance to presence, is what changes everything. The ritual works in 3 stages, and each stage corresponds to one of the core Kabbalistic principles that govern manifestation. The first principle is resonance, the second is certainty, the third is surrender. These aren't just philosophical ideas. They're the mechanics of how energy moves through the universe and how the divine responds to human consciousness. Let me walk you through each one, because if you understand these principles, you won't just change your relationship with money. You'll change your relationship with reality itself. Stage 1 is resonance. This is where you align your inner frequency with the vibration of abundance. You do this by meditating on the name while visualizing yourself as already provided for, already sustained, already whole. Not in the future, not as a hope, but as a present reality. The key here is feeling. Your subconscious doesn't respond to words. It responds to emotion. So when you visualize, you don't just see yourself with money. You feel the relief, the peace, the security, the freedom that comes with knowing you are divinely supported. You feel it so deeply that your body believes it's already true. And when your body believes it, your energy shifts. And when your energy shifts, the universe must respond because it's operating on the same law as a mirror. It reflects back what you are, not what you pretend to be. I remember the first time I truly felt this. I was sitting in my meditation space, eyes closed, visualizing the Hebrew letters of the name glowing in front of me. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I was trying to manifest something. I felt like I was remembering something. Like abundance wasn't something I had to create, but something I had to stop blocking. And in that moment, tears started rolling down my face. Not because I was sad, but because I finally understood. I had been living my entire life as if I was outside the gates of abundance, begging to be let in. But the truth was, I was already inside. I just couldn't see it because I was too busy looking at the illusion of lack I had been broadcasting. Stage 2 is certainty, not hope, not positive thinking, certainty. The kind of certainty you have about the sun rising tomorrow. You don't need anyone to prove it to you. You don't need to check the forecast. You simply know. That's the level of certainty required for the name to work. You declare, not with words, but with your entire being, that divine provision is your birthright. That lack is an illusion, that the name is active within you, rearranging reality in ways your limited mind cannot yet perceive. And here's the powerful part. When you live in certainty, you stop waiting. You stop checking your bank account to see if it worked. You stop asking when it's going to happen. Because you're no longer in the state of waiting. You're living as if it's already done. This is where most people stumble. They do the meditation, they feel good for a moment, and then they immediately go back to their old state of doubt. They check their phone, see that nothing has changed yet, and the certainty collapses. But certainty isn't fragile. Real certainty doesn't need evidence. It is the evidence. When you live in certainty, reality begins to mirror it back to you. Not to convince you, but because you've stopped emitting the frequency of doubt. And without that frequency, the universe has nothing to reflect except the truth you're now broadcasting. I'll tell you a story that illustrates this perfectly. There was a woman I mentored a few years ago who was drowning in debt. She had tried everything: affirmations, vision boards, financial courses. Nothing worked. When I introduced her to the ritual of freezing the name, she was skeptical. But she was also desperate, so she committed. Every morning for 72 days, she meditated on the name. She visualized herself as financially free. She felt the certainty of divine provision. And here's what happened. By day 30, she received an unexpected inheritance from a distant relative she barely knew. By day 50, a business opportunity she had written off months ago suddenly came through. By day 70, she had paid off half her debt and had more income flowing in than she had seen in 5 years. But what shocked her the most wasn't the money. It was that she no longer felt anxious about money. The internal shift had happened first. The external results were just the reflection. Stage 3 is surrender. This is the hardest stage for most people because we live in a culture that glorifies control. We're taught that if we don't grip tightly, if we don't push hard, if we don't force outcomes, everything will fall apart. But the truth is the opposite. Control is fear, and fear repels. Surrender is trust, and trust attracts. When you surrender, you're not giving up on what you want. You're releasing your grip on how it has to happen. You're trusting that the divine intelligence operating through the name knows a faster, better, more aligned path than your limited mind could ever design. Surrender is the ultimate act of faith. It's when you stop trying to be the universe and allow the universe to do what it does best. Provide. Let me be very practical here. Surrender doesn't mean you sit on your couch and wait for money to fall from the sky. It means you take inspired action without attachment to the outcome. You do what feels aligned, what feels light, what feels true. And then you let go. You plant the seed, and you trust the soil. You don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You water it, you give it sunlight, and you allow the process to unfold. And here's the miracle. When you surrender, you stop emitting the frequency of desperation. Desperation is the loudest signal of lack. And the universe will always mirror that back to you as more situations that make you feel desperate. But when you surrender, you emit the frequency of someone who knows they lack nothing. And that is the frequency that draws everything toward you. Now I know some of you are wondering, what is the actual name? What are the Hebrew letters? And I'm going to share that with you in just a moment. But first, I need you to understand something critical. The name itself is not magic. It's a key. and a key only works if you know how to use it. If you just recite the name without understanding the principles of resonance, certainty, and surrender, it's like having a key, but not knowing which door it opens. You'll stand there frustrated, wondering why it's not working, when the real issue is that you haven't shifted your internal state. The name is powerful, but your consciousness is what activates it. So before I give you the name, make sure you've absorbed what I've been teaching you. Because this isn't just information, it's transformation. And speaking of transformation, I want to remind you that what we're covering today is just one piece of a much larger framework. The Jewish people have been using specific wealth codes for generations, codes that integrate spiritual wisdom with practical strategy. If you want to go deeper, if you want the complete blueprint, the 15 Jewish Wealth Codes ebook is waiting for you. It's not just theory. It's step by step exactly what to do, exactly how to apply these ancient principles in your modern life. The link is in the first pinned comment below. Don't wait. Download it now and start applying these codes alongside what we're doing here. Because when you combine spiritual practice with practical action, that's when the real magic happens. That's when generational wealth becomes not just a dream, but your reality. All right, let's get to the heart of the ritual. The name I've been referring to is derived from the 72 names of God, specifically from the sequence in the book of Exodus where the Israelites are crossing the Red Sea. Each name is made up of 3 Hebrew letters, and each name corresponds to a specific frequency, a specific divine attribute. The name connected to Parnassah, to sustenance and provision, is composed of the letters Pei, Resh, and Kuf. In Hebrew, these letters spell PRK. Now, if you don't read Hebrew, don't worry. You don't need to pronounce it perfectly. What matters is the intention, the feeling, the state you enter when you work with it. Here's how you freeze the name in your consciousness. Every morning, before you do anything else, before you check your phone, before you open your email, before the noise of the world floods your mind, you sit in silence. You close your eyes. You take 3 deep breaths, and you visualize the letters PARK glowing in front of you. See them made of golden light, radiant, alive, pulsing with divine energy. And as you hold that image, you repeat silently or out loud, "Divine provision flows through me. I am sustained. I lack nothing." But don't just say the words. Feel them. Feel the relief in your chest. Feel the peace in your belly. Feel the certainty in your bones. This is not affirmation. This is embodiment. You are not trying to convince yourself. You are remembering the truth. Do this for at least 10 minutes every morning. If you can do 20, even better. The longer you hold that state, the deeper it sinks into your subconscious. And remember, the subconscious is where all your patterns, all your beliefs, all your automatic reactions are stored. When you freeze the name in your subconscious, you're rewriting the code. You're deleting the old program that says, "I have to struggle, I'm not enough, money is hard," and you're installing a new one that says, "I am divinely provided for, abundance is my natural state, the universe supports me completely." Now, after 10 minutes of visualization, you move into the certainty practice. You open your eyes, and you speak a declaration. Not as a wish, not as a hope, but as a fact. You say, "The name of God is active within me. I am a magnet for divine provision. Wealth flows to me effortlessly, naturally, constantly." And here's the key. You say it as if you're reporting something that's already true, not something you're trying to make true. When you speak from certainty, your voice changes. Your energy changes. And the universe registers that change immediately. The final step is surrender. After you've done the visualization and the declaration, you let go. You don't spend the rest of your day obsessing over when the money will come. You don't keep checking for signs. You don't analyze every little thing that happens to see if it's working. You simply go about your day with the quiet, knowing that the name is working through you, that divine intelligence is orchestrating everything, and that your only job is to stay in the state of resonance and certainty. When opportunities arise, you act on them. When intuition speaks, you listen, but you don't force, you don't grip, you flow. I did this ritual every single day for 72 days, and by the end, I was a completely different person energetically. Money didn't just come, it chased me. Opportunities didn't just appear, they multiplied. And the most profound shift was this: I no longer needed the money to feel okay. The state of abundance I had been cultivating internally was already the reward. The external results were just confirmation that the universe was listening, that the name was working, that I had finally tuned myself to the right frequency. Now, I want to address something that might be coming up for you. You might be thinking, I'm not Jewish. Does this still work for me? And the answer is absolutely yes. The names of God in Kabbalah are not exclusive to any religion or ethnicity. They are universal frequencies. They are aspects of the divine that exist within every human being, regardless of background. The Jewish mystics were the ones who preserved and transmitted this knowledge, but the knowledge itself belongs to all of humanity. When you work with these names, you're not converting to a religion. You're tapping into the spiritual architecture of reality itself, and that architecture responds to consciousness, not to labels. Another question people often ask is, how long does it take to see results? And the honest answer is, it depends. It depends on how deeply entrenched your old patterns are. It depends on how consistently you practice. It depends on how willing you are to surrender control and trust the process. For some people, results come within days. For others, it takes weeks or months. But here's what I can tell you with absolute certainty. If you commit to this ritual, if you do it with sincerity and presence, if you truly allow the name to be frozen in your consciousness, your life will change. Not because I say so, but because it's a law. Energy always seeks resonance. When you shift your frequency, reality must shift to match it. That's not faith. That's physics. Let me share one more story with you before we move into the closing part of this teaching. There was a man I worked with who had been unemployed for over a year. He had sent out hundreds of resumes, gone to dozens of interviews, and every door kept closing. He was depressed, angry, convinced the universe was against him. When I taught him the ritual of freezing the name, he almost didn't do it. He thought it was too simple, too mystical, not practical enough. But something inside him said, just try it. So he did. Every morning, he visualized the name. He spoke the declarations. He practiced certainty. And he surrendered. By week 4, he got a phone call from a company he had interviewed with 6 months earlier. They said the position had just opened up again, and they wanted him. By week 6, he had not one but 3 job offers. And by week 8, he was making more money than he had ever made in his life. But what amazed him the most was that the jobs didn't come from his endless applications. They came from old connections, from unexpected referrals, from paths he hadn't even considered. The universe had been working the entire time. He just needed to get out of the way and let it happen. That's the power of surrender. That's the power of certainty. That's the power of resonance. And that's the power of the name when it's frozen in your consciousness. You don't need to figure out how. You don't need to map out every step. You just need to become the frequency, and the universe will do the rest. Now, as we come toward the end of this teaching, I want to leave you with something practical, something you can do immediately after you finish watching this. First, commit to the ritual. 72 days. That's the traditional time frame in Kabbalah for a complete cycle of transformation. If 72 days feels too long, start with 30. But commit. Write it down. Put it in your calendar. Make it non-negotiable. Second, create a space for the practice. It doesn't have to be elaborate. Just a quiet corner where you won't be disturbed. Light a candle if you want. Play soft music if it helps. But make it sacred. Make it intentional. Third, track your shifts. Not obsessively, but with awareness. Notice when opportunities arise. Notice when your anxiety decreases. Notice when unexpected money shows up. Because the more you notice, the more you reinforce the new pattern. And here's the final piece. The piece that ties everything together. Don't keep this to yourself. Share it. Not to show off, not to prove anything, but because when you share sacred knowledge, you amplify it. You become part of a collective field of consciousness that's all moving toward the same frequency. And that collective field is more powerful than anything you could do alone. So if this resonates with you, if you feel something shift inside as you're listening to this, leave a comment. Type, "I am divinely provided for," or just type the number 1. Let me know you're here. Let me know you're committed. Because your declaration, even in a comment, is an act of freezing. It's you telling the universe, "I'm ready, I'm open, I'm aligned." And before you go, before you close this video and move on with your day, I want to remind you one more time about the 15 Jewish Wealth Codes ebook. This isn't just a nice-to-have resource, it's the complete framework. It's everything the Jewish people have used to build and sustain wealth across centuries, across continents, across every imaginable circumstance. You've already taken the first step by being here, by learning about the name, by understanding the principles of resonance, certainty, and surrender. Now take the next step. Download the ebook, study it, apply it, integrate it with the ritual we just covered. Because when you combine ancient spiritual wisdom with practical strategy, you don't just attract wealth, you become wealth. You embody it, you radiate it, and from that place, there's nothing you can't create. The link is in the first pinned comment. Go get it now. Your future self will thank you. All right, let's bring this home. You now know the name. You now know the ritual. You now know the 3 principles that govern all manifestation: resonance, certainty, and surrender. But knowledge alone changes nothing. It's the application that transforms. So here's what I want you to do tonight. Before you go to bed, sit for just 5 minutes. Close your eyes. Visualize the letters part glowing in your mind. Feel the divine provision flowing through you. Speak the declaration, "I am sustained, I lack nothing, wealth flows to me naturally." And then surrender. Let it go. Trust that the universe heard you. Trust that the name is now working within you. And trust that by the time you wake up tomorrow, something inside you will have already shifted. This is not magic. This is mechanics. This is how the universe operates. This is how the divine responds to human consciousness. And this is how you step out of the illusion of lack and into the reality of abundance. Not someday. Not when you've done enough. Not when you've proven yourself. Right now. In this moment. Because the truth is, you've always been provided for. You've always been sustained. You've always been connected to the infinite flow of divine supply. You just forgot. And this ritual, this name, this teaching, it's not giving you something new. It's reminding you of what you've always had. It's unfreezing the blocks, the fears, the false beliefs, and allowing the truth to shine through. And when that truth shines through, money doesn't run from you anymore. It recognizes you. It sees you as one of its own. And it comes home. Not because you chased it, not because you begged for it, but because you became the place where it belongs. You became the frequency it was always searching for. You became the vessel the universe was always trying to fill. And from that place, there is no lack. There is no struggle. There is only flow. There is only abundance. There is only the quiet, profound knowing that you are divinely held, divinely supported, and divinely loved. So freeze the name, live the ritual, embody the principles, and watch as the universe rearranges itself around you. Not because you demanded it, not because you forced it, but because you finally remembered who you are. And when you remember, reality has no choice but to reflect that truth back to you in every moment, in every circumstance, in every dollar that flows into your life. This is your inheritance. This is your birthright. This is the sacred contract between you and the divine, and it's waiting for you to claim it. Not tomorrow, not when you're ready. Right now, today, in this breath, in this moment. Claim it. Freeze it. Live it, and let the wealth chase you back.